Cioran, the philosopher who called birth a disaster. Emil Cioran once wrote, "We are nothing but a divine error, a cosmic accident, something that should never have happened." In that single phrase, he captured his merciless vision of human existence. But what does it really mean to see birth, not death, as the true problem of existence? It's a thought that shakes our deepest beliefs, an idea that dismantles every illusion we use to find comfort in life. Cioran was a thinker who dared to look directly into the abyss, to stare at the raw suffering beneath all human meaning. His ideas about the futility of happiness and the centrality of pain raised questions that still haunt us today. Origins of a restless mind. Cioran was born in 1911 in Rașinari, a small village in Transylvania, Romania. He grew up between a fading rural past and an uncertain modern future, the son of an Orthodox priest and a deeply religious mother. Faith filled every corner of his childhood home, yet from his earliest years he felt a deep unease. He rejected religion, turning instead to philosophy, not for answers, but as a way to explore the torment of existence itself. He once called Romania a trade union of failure. In his eyes, it was a land drained of energy and ambition, where life drifted aimlessly and society seemed paralyzed in chronic immobility. To Cioran, this wasn't just a political or cultural flaw. It was a mirror of the human condition itself, a constant struggle against the void that always wins in the end. The chaos that shaped a philosopher. During his university years in Bucharest, Cioran met Professor Nea Ionescu, a brilliant, eccentric teacher known for his unpredictable lectures. He could alternate between moments of profound insight and complete silence, claiming he had nothing to say. That chaotic spirit left a mark on Cioran. It showed him that life, like philosophy, was disordered and absurd, never to be fully grasped or controlled. Bucharest at that time was a city torn between tradition and modernity, progress and decay. In this atmosphere of contradiction and melancholy, Cioran's pessimism took root. He came to believe that human destiny is inseparable from failure, that life itself is a battle against absurdity we can never win. And yet out of that disillusionment, his lifelong philosophical journey began. He started asking questions that would define all his work. What is the meaning of life? Why do we search for it, even when it constantly slips away? The disaster of birth. For Cioran, birth was not a celebration, it was a catastrophe. To be born, he said, is to be condemned to consciousness, an unwanted awareness that turns into a lifelong burden. Before birth, there is silence, a pristine, peaceful nothingness. After birth, there is awareness, that sharp blade stuck in the flesh of existence, forcing us to face the absurd every day. Life to him was a ridiculous accident, a door that opens without our consent, thrusting us into a world of suffering and struggle. Antinatalism, the crime of creation. From this view came his radical antinatalism. Procreation, Cioran said, is an ethical crime, the act of bringing another being into a life doomed to suffer. Imagine, he suggested, deciding for another soul, condemning it to pain without its consent. In one of his most striking confessions, he wrote, "I have committed every crime, except that of being a father." To Cioran, this was the ultimate moral act, refusing to extend the chain of misery any further. Happiness as an illusion. Cioran didn't deny that happiness exists. He simply believed it was a farce, a mirage the mind invents to distract us from the truth. Like a shimmer in the desert, happiness seems real until we reach for it, and then it vanishes, leaving us once again in the dust of reality. Pain, not joy, is the essence of life.
because only in suffering, he said, do we encounter the true depth of existence. Happiness is temporary, a mask that briefly hides the emptiness inside us before dissolving back into nothing. Cioran urged us not to flee from pain, but to face it, to accept it as an inevitable part of being human. Ignoring suffering, he warned, doesn't remove it. It only drives us to chase hollow pleasures that leave us even emptier than before. Learning to live with the absurd. So, what does it mean to live knowing that suffering is unavoidable? Cioran offered an uncomfortable truth. Accepting pain as a constant can make life more authentic, not because pain is noble or beautiful, but because recognizing it strips away illusion and lets us see reality as it is. Writing as survival. How did someone with such a bleak vision manage to live at all? For Cioran, writing was his escape, his therapy. He once called his creative act a postponed suicide. Through his aphorisms, short, piercing fragments of thought, he transformed his despair into art. He didn't seek consistency, he sought honesty. Every contradiction, every doubt was part of his truth. To him, accepting failure was liberation. To see birth as defeat, paradoxically, could lighten the weight of existence. Irony, then, became his way to survive, laughing softly at the absurdity of being alive. Legacy of a reluctant prophet. Cioran spent the rest of his life in Paris, where he continued to write until his death in 1995. Today, his words still unsettle and provoke, forcing us to confront what we spend our lives avoiding: that existence is chaotic, painful, and yet strangely meaningful in its honesty.